Bun găsit la Feel the Market, suntem live la emisiunea zilnică dedicată piețelor financiare, astăzi împreună cu Peter de Boer de la AGRAR. Welcome, Peter.
Thank you very much for the invitation. I'm glad to be back at your show just before ending the year and start the holiday season.
Yeah, thank you for being here with us today again.
Being the end of the year, first question will be, of course, you become one of the most visible agribusiness, let's say, sector listed company. And how was, from your perspective, this year? It was a challenging year, yes, from economic climate and regulatory pressure in this sector.
Yeah, of course, we had some changes. One was, of course, the cancellation of the agricultural facility. I mean, we have quite significant salary increases this year. It's almost up to 30%, from which 15% is directly. The reason directly is by the cancellation of the agricultural facility. So that was a compensation for employees who work in the agricultural sector, which was promised by the government for 5 years. By the previous government, not by the current government, but due to the deficit, this was cancelled. So of course, that was quite a pity. And of course, we had quite also, if we look to the liquidity of our stock in the first part of the year, that was relatively low. But we saw when things calmed down politically, let's say after the elections, as well as with the change of the management team and our development strategy from 2025 to 2030, things started to smooth down. And I think if we look to the milk price, we had an amazing milk price this year, the highest I think we ever had on a whole year base. So we had quite a significant higher milk price this year compared to previous year. Currently, we see some pressure in the milk market, or quite some significant pressure, but that is maybe we will have time to discuss later on that part, more on the outlook for next year. We had an amazing Investors Day, I think the largest investor day on the Romanian market. We had an institutional investor, one of the largest institutional investors, entered our shareholder base for 2%. So I think that is a success as well. We started the operations in the Straja farm, where we estimated only by the end of the year to have 1,800 cows, but we will now already have 2,000 cows by the end of the year. So that is going relatively fast. We implemented solar panels on all our farms. Next steps in no-till technology. As well, of course, what you see over here is the increase in milk. We estimated a 10% increase in milk. Currently, we are already on 12%. So it's clearly that we will reach our goal to produce 70 million liters of milk at least this year. Normally, we will pass that. So that's a good sign as well. And we just commissioned today the second compost plant at the AGRAR farm, where we doubled our production capacity of organic fertilizer from 7,000 to 14,000 tons.
Mm-hmm. Of course,
only one second, Tiberio, about the milk price. If next year will be lower, I don't know, maybe. Let's take this scenario in discussion. The increase of quantity make you to be continuing profitably, no? Because the compensation with quantity against a lower price, let's say.
Well, currently we see really a lot of pressure on the milk price, on the spot milk price, if I say like this. I mean, the far majority of our milk currently is contracted. So we have with the larger companies contract for 3 years, and we follow a certain indicator based on 6 Northwest European countries average milk price. So, but still we see at the moment a significant. I'm not going to lie around it. It's a significant decrease in milk price. We will also see that in Q1. But the good news is as well, we did some analysis internally, and we always follow. You can currently already follow on certain websites and from certain analysts where the milk is contracted for in the end of the first half year in 2026 or the end of 2026. And there we see now that milk is already sold for a higher price than today. So that shows that in the coming months, we will reach already the bottom of this decrease or of this decline, which is a good sign. So it will not take that many months, but it's clearly some pressure. And it's mainly due to the fact that the cycle of milk production in Europe is a bit different than usual. Due to blue tongue, anti-mouth and claw disease, cows got later on pregnant So they are producing more in this time of the year than was expected, and no one really estimated it. But we will see some pressure in Q1. I think we will not be able completely to compensate that with extra liters of milk. But okay, it is a commodity, and it's on the that is really short term, looking only for a few months. I mean, we announced a 5-year strategy. I think investors should mainly look to that. And of course, one of the reasons we invest in this milk processing unit is to tackle certain things and to have a more robust business plan together with the diversification plans. But on the long term, the milk market looks really good. We will see a lot of pressure to decarbonize still. In Europe, also pension funds are really looking still to this for these kind of investments. So that will mean that in the coming years, farmers who are now 45 to 60 years old, they will not invest anymore in this decarbonization, etc., because it doesn't make sense from an economic point of view. The return of investment is too short this period, so they will stop as well. Now that a lot of farmers had amazing years in Europe, and currently, for example, in the Netherlands, the milk price is lower than the break-even point for those farmers. So, of course, in countries where farmers are forced, more or less, due to climate change, etc., to stop their business, it's a good period for them now to get out of business. So it's really a temporary.
But you were talking about the price of the milk. Is it still kept until March 2026 or not?
No, I mean, we faced the first month of a real decline in milk prices this month. It has no effect of the budget. We will easily reach the budget for the end of the year. It's really good. It will be a really strong year. I think we will see some pressure still January, I know for sure, and I think also in February and March on the milk price, and then we expect that it will stabilize at least, and that it will go up gradually again. That is what we see on the market. But I mean, for example, to give you another example, also the tariffs of Trump, they play a role. We see a huge decline in, for example, Parmigiano from Italy, what is sold normally to. It's the same with butter from Ireland, etc., due to the tariffs, etc. So that is another external factor. But as I said, on the whole, the milk sector for the coming 5 to 10 years looks really good. We have a growing demand, especially in cheese consumption. Still, a lot of nations are developing, and a lot of farmers are stopping. First of all, they don't have succession or not the capital to fully decarbonize.
Let's talk a little bit about the financial performance, because it was it was an outstanding one, I might say. Revenues around 160 million in the first 9 months of 2025, plus 25% year over year, and the net profit around 43 million. I would like to underline here that EBITDA margin actually is around 49%. I'd like to say, just like a tech company, how can you have this kind of EBITDA, and how sustainable it is actually on the future, because you are not a tech company, you are a value company.
The value the listed tech companies in Bucharest will be glad to have this margin.
No, I mean, as we had, especially this year, we had an amazing milk price. Okay, we don't estimate that the milk price will drop back like a couple of years ago, like before the war in Ukraine, etc. It will remain on a higher level. I mean, I think it mainly shows how integrated we are. That is one of the success stories, as well, of course, that we are able to sell our milk, the far majority of our milk, we sell for a Western European price, of course, where we have our cost, etc., in Romania. So the scale contributes to that. How sustainable it is on these high numbers, I don't think, and it's also not in our scenarios what you can find. I think our aim is, especially if we look to our profit margin for the milk division, if that is on average around 18%, which is currently closer to 30, let's say, I think that is more sustainable, and that is also how it is more implemented in the scenarios. I mean, this year we look to the milk price, and we don't have exactly this milk price in our scenario. Let's say that we received some average this year, so that's not so sustainable. But still, if you look to our scenarios, which can be found on our website, there's a clear growth trajectory, and that as well, of course, with the diversification, I mean, when you look currently to the margins, you would argue just build more farms as fast as you can and don't do anything else. I expect not for the greenhouses, etc., to have also these kind of margins, but still they could be around 20% or above.
Let's talk about farm expansion, and I want to discuss about Straja project because seems to be a major milestone this year, and you reach your target almost 4 months ahead of schedule. What made this possible, and can we expect from the bigger strategy to have some issues also ahead of the schedule?
Yeah, and I think, and we need to be ahead of schedule because we moved some plans that we had later on announced in our strategy already to 2026. So what we will see is in the first half year of next year, we will finalize the construction part of the farm. Animal-wise, we will occupy the farm with full capacity of 5,000 cows in 2027. Why can we not grow faster? There is just because we grow our own animals. At the moment, the animal price is really high, so it doesn't make sense. Maybe what we could see now is due to the correction in the milk price that we currently are seeing. Normally, a follow-up will be that farmers usually optimize their herd, which means they are more willing to sell the animals, which should mean a decrease for the animal price. So we could decide even then to acquire extra animals. But our experience is when you acquire, let's say, 100 animals, then 30%, so 30 animals, you need already to it's kind of a waste, let's say, from that perspective. So it's way better to have this in your own control, is the growth of the young stock to cows, and then you have also the whole history and with genetics, etc. But we have now around 2,000. We will add a few more 100 before the reference date in end of February. And as I said, construction will be finalized beginning of next year. So our construction team has time to construct the other projects.
Peter, let's make a step back because actually from my perspective, I lost track of your all the investments. Can you recap once again all the facilities that you have? I mean, CUT 1, 2, Straja, and so on.
Yeah, no, we try to simplify it just to call it 1 and 2, let's say, but no, I can imagine. So we have currently in our group the AGRAR farm, the CUT farm, the Apold farm, and the Straja farm. Those farms, those 4, they produce currently milk. So that are 4 milk. Then we have the Podlak farm that is for young stock. And then, of course, we have the other companies who are more supportive to the rest of the group. Then we have 2 composting stations at the moment. And then for next year, we will add 3 things. We will add a milk processing plant for skimmed milk and cream. We will add the first wheatgrass production. Wheatgrass means it's a kind of a hydroponic farm, completely automated, which will produce 30 to 35 tons output of feedstock per day with a constant protein level, which will replace imports of rapeseed, further cost optimization, and good for the margins by the end of the day. So that is what we're adding next year. And we will start to construct the CUT 2 farm as well next year. That's another farm. So currently we have 4 farms who produce almost 200,000 liters of milk. And in the coming years, up to 2030, we are still significantly increasing milk production to over 500,000 liters per day.
Okay, that's good. Let's move forward, Catalin, yeah, with another chapter, yeah.
Yes. I want to talk about you invest 40 millions, yes, around 40 millions, and I want to ask you how you prioritize this capital allocation because we're thinking about expansion, efficiency, and also sustainability, and how important are the investment in solar panels, equipment, I don't know, infrastructure, because the margins are very important, no, in this volatile environment.
Yeah. So although we see from Brussels a step back or a slow down, especially in sustainability, we think that on the long term this is inevitable, and we think also it's a competitive advantage from our part. So we really believe in sustainability, and one of our goals that that we aim to achieve by our strategy is to produce net zero milk. We expect, together with our largest clients, that will be a trend from around 2030. So that's the reason we invest so significantly in sustainability. And on the other hand, I think we show as well that sustainability is not only investment or costly, but it can really support your economic growth, that we show through the compost, that we will show to the biomethane production, which will add significantly to the profitability of the AGRAR group, as well as to make it future ready. So how we allocate, I mean, currently, mainly we grow through bank financing. That is true. Our ratio is quite low. I think it's at the moment even under 2. What we, as also when we discuss with institutional investors, etc., but also with the banks, I think they would not like to see it over 4. Mainly, it's not even our goal to really go over 4, so it should be around 3.5. So that is more or less how we allocate, and how we analyze things is to make our business model constantly more robust. What we mean with that? We look for things that we can optimize, that we can automate, as well as adding products from our rest products. So mainly now the valorization of manure. And the next step is, of course, the broader diversification process. And for that, we need the capital market, especially for the food cluster. For that part, our aim is to raise capital from the capital markets. But the other products, almost all that are announced in the strategy, we aim to finance through bank financing and own sources.
Yes, we have a lot of questions in the live chat. One regarding this: do you plan any social capital increase for the first half of next year?
No. So our aim is, we are now preparing to go to the main market in the first half year of 2027, and the aim is to do at that time the capital increase.
Yeah. There are several other questions in the chat, but we will take them as soon as we advance in our discussion. Peter, you disclosed at our last meeting that you would like to invest in a processing plant, and actually a few days ago the press release was live, and today you sent another press release. So you were telling us then that you would like to process a big quantity of milk, and I'm reading here around 150 liters per day. Yeah, so the plant will have a processing capacity of around 100 meters per day. This will, I don't know how this will actually change your model or business model, or actually maybe will improve it as far as I can see, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's 150,000 liters.
1,000 actually. Yeah, 1,000.
Oh, yeah. So and the idea is that we will increase our exports to Greece and Italy. Our main focus for the future, for the extra milk that we will produce in the coming years, is not to sell necessarily on the local market, but mainly for exports. And what it will contribute is that we can produce several products, which is cream, like Smontana in Romanian, skimmed milk, as well as that we can increase the dry matter content from 9%, let's say, to 36%, which means that quantity normally needed to be transported with 4 trucks, and then we can only transport with 1 truck. So it goes from 4 to 1. So that's a huge improvement and reduction of transportation costs, of course, to bring the milk further away, because that's the main competitor, transportation cost, to be able to export, let's say. That's the main component. Next to that, we will be also able to contract with food processors, deliver milk with an exact fat percentage. So we can deliver between 0.5 and 4% fat, exactly. For certain food processors, that's really important. As well as with this factory, we will be able to not only sell full trucks, but we will also be able to sell 1,000 liter packaging. So we can also sell to smaller bakeries and these kind of companies. So this means diversification of our clientele, not locally, but also geographically, so on a European level, while not competing with our existing clients. So we think that is the most safest way to grow, but it gives us more options. Next to that, we will also install for 300,000 liters extra storage capacity. To give you an example, it's really hard to sell the milk around Christmas and New Year. A lot of factories close. So what we now see on the spot market, certain farmers will only sell on Christmas days for 2 euro cents their milk, for example, because you cannot go anywhere with it. So through this storage, we can also sell more on the spot market in the future, or certain products, while we don't need to sell it in the weekend or around certain holidays. So that gives another extra resistance to the robustness to the company, as well as we can produce kosher milk. So that could be something else where we could look into. So diversification of semi-fabric products.
Yeah.
Okay. Second, automated composting unit. You launch doubling capacity to 14,000 tons per year. How important is this complementary, this business line?
It is important, of course. Virtually, the organic certification took quite significantly more time than we
Yes.
estimated. But now we are really progressing there, so I really expect to receive it in the coming month. We started already to sell part of the product to certain resellers. So it's a really nice product, and we think it is important as it reduces our emissions, as well as that after the biomethane, so the manure in the future will go first in the biomethane plant, and when it comes out, the digestate, it goes in the compost plant. Through the compost plant, we are able to valorize at least 2 times the manure. So it has a relatively small investment. This investment was 1.7 million. It has a return of investment less than 2 years. So that looks really promising, let's say. Now, the next step is we also started to certify it for a European level, so that we also estimate more or less in the first quarter. And then we can build up, at the Polt farm, we just also installed the packaging machine. So we are now also able to pack it in 5 to up to 40 liters. So with relatively, and it is fully automated. So it plays quite a role, especially in the profitability of the company next to the biomethane. So it is important for us, and we will increase it to 40,000 tons annually in 2030.
But at what price you sell it now?
Well, currently, we sell it under the estimated price, not in our budget, but I mean, what we think it should have the real value, just due to the fact that it is not organic certified. So that is a lower amount. But of course, I will throw away my negotiation position, let's say, if I tell you exactly the price. And maybe some will also be upset with me that they say, "Oh, you sold me for X amount and the other for another amount." So I keep myself.
Okay, you were talking about the biomethane plant. And we have a question here. Let's try to answer it. If AGRAR likes to exercise its options of acquiring 20 or 30% of the BioSOG biomethane plant, what extra revenue do you estimate will be generated?
Well, the truth is that we don't know this at the moment. So currently, we are in the designing phase and the permitting phase. There are 2 good things to mention here. I think last week or 2 weeks ago, the Romanian government implemented legislation for injection to the grid. So this will be allowed, expected from next year that it will be implemented. Now only they need to come up with additional legislation to come up with the parameters and more technical details of injection into the grid. Next to that, Black Sea Oil and Gas Energy received a license to produce biomethane. So we are really progressing from the government, progressing in this investment, and the final investment decision will be taken in end of Q1, beginning of Q2. How we negotiate at the time the contract is, we have the option to have an equity stake between 10 and 20 million, 10 and 20%. The investment is around 30 to 35 million euros for the whole facility, and they need to deliver. Together with another party, of course, the business model, and then we will decide. We negotiated a contract already in case we would step in, etc. How that all will be regulated, but at that time we will take the decision when we have all the final figures. But we don't have that at this moment. So far, the AGRAR doesn't need to do any investments, only in acquiring some additional trucks to deliver the manure. And for that, we will get 3 to 3.5 million euros on an annual basis. And we will inform the market probably, I don't know, somewhere probably in Q2, when the final investment decision needs to be taken, based on the information provided, if we will opt for this equity stake. But at the moment, that is not, we don't have this information, as they are designing the whole
Okay, let's move forward to the other question, which is related to the accountancy. If you plan, or when actually will you release the IFRS reports?
Yeah, so the 9 months are finalized. So we have 2023, the end result in IFRS, 2024 quarterly in IFRS, 2025 we have now up to 9 months in IFRS. Our goal, but no, we need to not to mix. I think we will be able to publish something either in the coming weeks or beginning of January. Those statements. Currently, the whole procedure is also audited, so the evaluator is audited and is method as well, also all done by Mazars. So that's the thing where we are waiting on. And also from 2026, we will also publish quarterly in IFRS.
This reporting actually is or will be mandatory once you will take the decision to move on the main market. No.
That's the reason. I mean,
Yeah, of course.
from that point of view, we will be ready, let's say, from January to go to the main market, because then we have these. This is all set, and that's this reason also that we did the previous year into IFRS. We will quite see an improvement of the financial results due to the fair value method that we will be used there. Now we also use a cost calculation. But we will go to the fair value method. So there will be quite an increase, but at that time we will come up with some additional information how to read the report.
Yeah, we have another question in chat regarding the credit carbons, the 16,000 credit carbon, and you estimate actually around 16 carbon credits per unit per year. And the question is, how do you plan, or do you plan actually to monetize these credits? And I don't know if there can be this can become a stream of financial, I don't know, revenue.
Yeah. You can estimate or imagine large companies, and we started also discussions with them, like large companies in oil and gas industry or other, I don't know, in the maritime industry, companies that for in industry where it is hard to decarbonize, let's say, they have quite an interest, especially when you produce a lot of certificates. Each plant will produce 16,000. So in 2030, we will have around 100,000 certificates per year, which is a nice amount. Currently, they value between 20 and 30 euros per certificate. And the estimation is, as currently there are discussion on European level to include them in the ETS, European Trading System, that they will further increase to a value of over 50 euros, let's say. Okay, but that we don't know. Only what we know today is 20, 30 euros, which is still you can do your own mathematics. I mean, multiplied, let's say, first with 16, and every year we will have an increase there. That is still nice to add. We could also use them in the future if there comes extra legislation to decarbonize for parts in our business model where it is hard to decarbonize. We could also use them there, let's say, in the future.
That's around 500,000 euros, roughly. Yeah. Okay.
We have another breaking news today. You announce plans to move to the main market in the first half of 2027. It was maybe later in the you said before, because you want to be sure it will be a success. What need to happen this time till the next year and let's say a quarter, and why you want to move to the market that time? And another question: how many pension funds and other big investor you have contacted yet? So they contacted you, because I am sure you will have a deal done before they make this step.
Yeah, my goal is to finalize, let's say, more or less this year, let's say, or that is one of our goals, to attract it. Now, so not much needs to happen anymore. I mean, IFRS is almost finalized. We will update with our corporate governance structure. We will look again critical to the structure of our board. So if we need to bring some extra board members into the company, let's say, to gain extra trust for those institutional investors. So that's an analysis that we will do this year, and we will start to do more roadshows, etc. I mean, we are in good contact on the local market with all the large funds. So we planned already for coming year several meetings with them. Also, we will go for our first international roadshow to I think we go to 5 cities in April, beginning of April, just to practice. To gain more experience in this context, as well as that we get more often also contacted by funds who look for emerging markets in Western Europe, but also from the US, etc. So far, we really focus on the Romanian funds. Still, I'm really confident that we will be able mainly to raise it through the Romanian funds. So, and what we'll look at, so not much needs to happen on that part anymore. I think it will be in April or May in 2027. And then how many funds will enter? I think the main decision there is, of course, for sure they will ask again for a discount. This is a discussion we always have. But I think the main issue is they are not issue, but it will be the main decision how many funds can enter is on the amount that need to be raised. So is it 10 million? Is it 30 million? Is it 40? No, etc. So I think, and that has also to do with the food cluster. But I think especially the food cluster, it will be a really interesting model, also for a lot of funds locally, but also more international. And as I said, there's quite a event. We had them also at our investor day. Many of them participated, and we aim in Q1, beginning of Q2, to visit them all in Romania, and then to set the next step. So that's really a goal for the coming year, to more or less organize this, let's say.
Anyway, we'll see what will be the price then, because the discount you're talking, we will see, because now is something very interesting in the chart. Let me show. Okay, we have a range. I don't know, 260 to 95 will be a range, and then up or down we will see. But what happened with the share from the beginning, from when you listed? It was 18-month range. Then it was an up 150%. This means for every month of range plus 639. Then 15 month of range, and then up 77%. This means 5.13 per month of range. And if we play now like a joke or not, after this range maybe could end in 1 year, and then we'll see up around 46%. This means 3.87% per range, per month range. It's an exercise, but for sure the price will go up. Many chances to go up if your strategy will be successful, for sure, because we will have another numbers, bigger numbers. So it's interesting like this.
Yeah.
No, it's really really interesting. So, yeah, I mean, especially the liquidity, it's really good. I
The
think
liquidity, yes.
of course, we see a lot of liquidity in our stock. We see not really an increase in share price, but it also doesn't decrease. So I think that is at least it's a good sign, let's say, for the future. But of course, we would like to see it finally to go over 3, let's say, but the 3 lay. But no, we're not there yet.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, but you have liquidity like some other companies on the main market, better than many companies. Some liquidities, some days are like in the bad components. It's very, very, very good liquidity.
Yeah. Peter, you have a lot of investments now on your roadmap, and of course, you are facing a lot of issues, a lot of uncertainties down the road. And I have a question here related to all your investments. Actually, what do you consider to be the biggest, I don't know, operational or financial risks from now on? Could it be from a climate perspective? Could it be from a financial perspective? When you will move on the main market, do you think that actually you would like to attract some money? If this will not happen, can this be measured as a financial risk, or how do you see the future in this? Or actually, your outlook from 2026 until 2030, let's say.
Yeah, I mean, if you look to our financial scenarios, we created 4. There, mainly we included there the project that we are really certain to implement. Certain things which are not implemented is, for example, the wheatgrass is not the milk processing plant, two investments that we do the coming year, but also not the agri-food cluster. So I think even without, if we would not, let's say the agri-food cluster, of course, that is something new. It doesn't exist in this scale, what we have in mind in Romania. So of course you could perceive it as a financial risk, although we see it as an opportunity. But I mean, without these kind of investments, the scenario still we will still double EBITDA, etc., just to increase the current investment. I think a huge risk is still climate change. We are mitigating that through the wheatgrass. So our goal by the end, we have this first test facility of 3 million euros, which will come operational in around the summer next year. But by the end, we will, if we succeed in this investment, that we will implement every year this technology, which means that in time we will be able to replace 30% of our feedstock. So through that we can mitigate climate change. 90% less water usage, no herbicides, no pesticides. Also, it's a huge contributor to this net zero milk because you have way lower emissions, of course. And you could even think of producing bio milk. So we are opening more doors to the future in case that's necessary to go into this direction. I still think the main risk at the moment is the war next door. I think that is really also, if we think of attracting pension funds, etc., I think not on the local market, but if you would like to have more international pension funds or these kind of funds in the future, I think for them currently this is Romania remains a difficult market from that perspective, that you don't know who will be your neighbor, let's say, but hopefully this will be solved. And of course, constant change in legislation. I mean, but that is, I think, not specific to Romania. I think that is specific to an emerging market because demands are constantly changing. So I think that are the main risk, but especially for food, etc., Eastern Europe has a huge opportunity. We see a decrease of production in Western Europe, who's now the main feeder of Europe, that will move to Eastern Europe. Next to that, there is also a huge food deficit in Romania in almost all sectors, so that create huge opportunities for the local markets. But from that perspective, of course, the constant change in legislation, also with the food cluster. I mean, when you're investing in greenhouses, that you don't do for 2 or 3 years. So and still there, if we look to return of investment to certain crops in the greenhouses, a return of investment who is doable, it's, let's say, 5 years, 5 to 7 years. So I think that is still relatively low risk.
Just a quick question here related to the Mercosur trade agreement. You heard about it, yeah? Does this have any implications around the business or something like this? Or
we don't think in our case. I mean, France now just delayed it again, and I think this is a huge mistake. Not to make it too political, let's say, but I think from a European perspective, this is a huge mistake. While we are losing friends, or where we thought we would have friends day by day, let's say, and now we are battling to protect some small farmers. I mean, there will come more competition, but I think the AGRAR is placed in a really strong position. Like currently, we see our margins, we see how integrated, analyze how integrated the AGRAR is, that we further diversify, that we add with low investment in biogas and compost, significantly big percentage to our profitability. So I think we are in a really good position there. So we're not afraid. And I think it's way more important in this unstable world that Europe finds partners where we can maintain, of course, a rule-based order. I think that's for us a way bigger risk if we get just power play and transactional relationships everywhere around the world. That will be way more problematic for us.
Yeah. Okay.
Especially for a commodity market and a stock market and the capital market as well. I mean, that will, you can imagine.
Peter, now it's half of December. You know the numbers for the last quarter of the year. Maybe you can tell us something now. But for next year, what should investors expect? A moderation in growth or this momentum to continue?
No, I mean, we are really confident that we will reach the budget. So that we published. So we published something, I think, between 48 and 52 in net profit. Now
now you can say.
No, I cannot say. But when I say really confident, now You never know. Maybe it's even above. You never know. But we will see when
Okay.
But this I don't know yet because we don't have the final figures. But I mean, at least what I can say is that I'm confident that we will reach the budget. Let's say for next year, I expect a moderation of growth, mainly due to at least in Q1. The rest of the year we need to see. But I don't estimate that the price will jump to the average of this year. So next year for AGRAR means still increasing milk production, and mainly it is a year of execution, constructing, testing, and getting the milk processing plant operational. Start from September, export to Greece and Italy to further increase there. First, constructing the first wheatgrass plant to replace 30% of the feedstock at the Kut 1 farm, because there it is where it will be built. And to have that operational, as well as finalizing the permitting for the Kut 2 farm and start construction there. Of course, further increase in Straja, what we have. So we have a lot of plans, and of course, hopefully the final positive investment decision, and then we could also start construct for the biomethane plant. So I think it will be a moderate year, a bit an in between year, 2027 further growth, and the big boom as we. It sounds maybe a bit strange, but where a lot of projects and investment get into maturity, let's say, that's 2028. I think that will be a really, really strong year.
Yeah, so a lot of plans, a lot of investments, and the future, I don't know, from my perspective, is quite bright for the AGRAR. Peter, we reached the end, actually the end of our show today, but we don't want to close until you send a message to our lovely audience, because as you may have seen, we had a lot of messages in the chat. And what message would you like actually to send to them after they were watching this show today, Feel the Markets?
Well, if you care about your wallet, I would say invest in the AGRAR. No, I'm joking. But no, I wish everyone, I mean, for us, it is really an amazing journey. Also for me personally, this year I became CEO in our group. And it was quite an emotional moment for my father and me as well. And we draw this new strategy. And I mean, I think we have a lot of new plans. We also show that we are able to execute. We did it in the last couple of years. But next year, I mean, now we are now in the approval of financing. So it's not only a nice story, but we know how to implement and to execute, and we will do that in the coming years. So I think we have really a nice business case, but mainly I wish everyone a lot of health. You have an amazing community here, also really educational. So also I really thank you from an emissioner as well. That's really important for us as well. And I really hope, that everyone stays safe, that we have a bit more peace, that we interact nicer as societies with each other. And then I think, although everyone is complaining also about Europe, that we're not capable of anything these days anymore, but I think when we have a positive outlook and we are open for cooperation, I think also the future in Europe will be right. And I think, especially for the agri-food sector, because you can imagine if you're now in IT, with the developments in AI, etc., that are going so fast, where it is really hard to compete, where only a few companies will win, while we always need to eat. I think we are in a really strong sector for the coming years. Yeah. And Merry Christmas and have a great end of the year.
Okay, Peter. Thank you very much. Good luck. Hope to see you next year, and happy holidays to everybody.
Yeah, thank you.
Încheiem aici ediția de astăzi. Până mâine, seară plăcută și profitabilă. La revedere!